Hello everybody, Kelly Rice here, but I write under my pen name K.M. Rice. And welcome to my author vlog. Today I'm going to be discussing a topic that's very near and dear to me. It's something that has affected every aspect of my life and has changed the course of my life, and is something that I ironically have struggled with and against and for. I've struggled in every direction that you can think of for several years with it, and it's going to sound kind of silly from the outside, but from the inside it's been a little bit of, not an identity crisis, but it's been a little bit of a journey towards accepting life as a public figure. So the two aspects of that I'm going to focus on today are going to be being a fan, which is how I began, and now being someone who makes videos on YouTube. So a little bit of backstory in case you don't know. This author vlog is not my first go at making film productions at all. Basically, as soon as I was allowed access to our VHS video camera when I was 12, I started roping everyone around me that would be willing to into making videos. And if you're curious, you can go to my old YouTube channel and check out the very first video that I ever made. And in fact, I starred in it. It was a commercial for a fake product called Rivavolt that was supposed to get rid of your back pain. So you can trace my my urge to be creative visually back to when I was 12, but well before that I had my Fisher-Price audio cassette tape recorder, and I was non-stop recording audio shows and audio plays and interviewing my friends and singing, and you know, I just always seemed to have this desire to share, I guess, and to create. Of course, the written word went hand in hand with me learning how to write, and it'll be fun. Maybe for Halloween I will show you the first book I ever wrote, because it is a Halloween story, and I wrote that when I was 5. No, I just turned 6 in kindergarten. So that's a little bit of backstory of my history with filming. So it's something that I've been doing for the vast majority of my life, putting myself kind of out there. YouTube obviously didn't come along until around 2007, I think was when it first started. I remember back in the day when we were making videos, and the only way you could ever share them was making them really small, horrible quality size to put on the internet and for people to download. Sorry, I'm using a new camera to film this. Hopefully the quality is better, but I'm reminding myself that I can't change the depth of field because it's on autofocus, and if I do, I get out of focus, so bear with me, people. I'm trying to sit very stiffly. So that's just a little bit of, you know, where I'm aging myself, I understand. But when YouTube came along, there was an opportunity to start sharing some of the stuff that I've been working on with my siblings and my friends for years, because we did film parodies for ages. One of our more popular ones was making, I don't want to say making fun, because these were all things we loved, and because we loved them, that's why we poked fun at them. Some of them, as we got on, were things that maybe we weren't so in love with, but we just couldn't resist poking at a little bit. But we did a lot of Middle-earth based, Tolkien based films. Like, we did our own film trilogy called The Lord of the Freaks. We also did, yeah, the Aragon one. You're seeing the thread of fantasy there. We also did, what was another popular? Oh, we did Stargate Atlantis fan films, where me and my sister played like 10 characters or something like that. It was crazy. So those took a lot of thought and effort, obviously. And one time we managed to have a group hug between 4 people who were actually 2 people, so that took some skill. But I didn't realize that this was all just play, this playfulness was sort of incubating in me a skill set. A skill set that I could then apply to something that would contribute to the bigger picture rather than just entertainment. So that brings me to 2012. So by 2012, I'd had my YouTube channel up and, you know, we were just posting our silly things and just doing it for fun. And again, most of these videos were made just for our own pleasure. There was no platform to share them with. When I was 12, there was nothing, okay? It was my VHS, and if I wanted to show someone, I could put it in the VCR and show them, but that was it. But, so until YouTube, there was no, this concept of YouTubers didn't exist, until, you know, a few years down the road from that. And certainly not viral videos, like, do you guys remember panda, 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 mushroom, mushroom, a snake, a snake? I'd say that, like, what, those and like the kitty cat wink, like those things that we shared via email, those were kind of the first viral videos, even though there wasn't a website who was specifically hosting them. But, I'm digressing a little. So around 2012, I should back up and say that when I was in my late teens, the Lord of the Rings films came out. And when I'm talking about fandom, I'm mainly going to focus on my Middle-earth fandom, just because that has really shaped my journey as a fan and as a professional. But I was definitely, like I just mentioned, Stargate Atlantis. That definitely had an impact on me too. And as a little side note, I'll give you a brief history of that, which is there was a film that came out called Stargate, and then a subsequent TV series called Stargate SG-1, and then a couple spin-offs. By the time Stargate Atlantis was airing, my sister and I were making these parody videos, and we actually ended up having a relationship with the production, because, you know, they thought what we were doing was entertaining. And one of the writers and showrunners asked to see my stuff because he found out I was a writer and was like, you know, you're pretty funny on video. What is your writing like? So I sent him a sample of my prose. This was at the very start, I want to say, of grad school. So I was just a baby in my creative writing. And he was really impressed with what I sent him and basically became my unofficial mentor. He said, if you ever want to write an episode of the show, a spec script, go for it. I knew nothing about TV writing. I didn't know the structure or anything. He sent me a few sample scripts and I looked them over and I figured it out. But as a fan of the show, obviously, I knew the characters and the premise and everything. So through that relationship, I ended up writing 3 spec scripts. None of them were used in production, but it was an incredible learning experience for me because he then gave me feedback. I think the first one I wrote was way too pithy. It was way too novel-like and just didn't have enough substance for the visual medium. So that was a big lesson for me about, you know, prose versus screenwriting. The second script I wrote, I think, was... I'm trying to remember now. There was something, I think they were already doing something similar and it just, you know, wouldn't mesh. And the third script I wrote was, I think it was the same thing, which was they ironically had another plot that they were going to do that season or that upcoming season that would be similar, and so either of those two wouldn't work because it would be kind of repeating some of the same themes. And I gave myself a little pat on the back for that because I'm like, well, I'm thinking like the writers, and they had a whole writer's room full of people doing this, and you know, my mentor made sure to congratulate me. He's like, you're doing the work of like 10 people, you know, like there's 10 of us in the room pitching these ideas and picking out who's going to write what, etc. So that was kind of like a crash course for me. I was very motivated because it would be amazing to not only write a spec script and get it produced, but obviously I'd get paid something for it and it would be a great credential for me. So that was an awesome thing I was doing on the side during my grad studies. So that's actually a perfect, acute example of how me just being my nerdy self, my sci-fi loving self, who also has the skill set of writing and was studying my craft and learning it, was able to utilize that to my benefit. And it could have morphed into a, you know, maybe what if things had gone differently? What if they'd bought one of my scripts and then that started my career in television? You never know. But at the very least, it gave me, it helped me hone my skill set and my craft in such a way that I was then able to carry that forward into my feature scripts, which went on to win multiple national and state awards and placed well in international screenwriting competitions. I got the attention of an agent, and I had a manager for a while. Ultimately, those relationships weren't a good fit, but because screenwriting was something that I was hitting a lot of walls. I was hitting a lot of walls with my scripts because I tend to write epic stories, hint, expensive, about female leads. And to this day, there isn't considered to be a market. There are always stories that break the rules. But, you know, everyone's going to say, but the Hunger Games, but Divergent, but. Those were all based on best-selling book series that also coincidentally broke the rules. Or you have films that are based on characters from previous material, like Lara Croft, who's from a hugely successful video game, or you could have a historical figure like Queen Elizabeth, who basically, if the public knows this character and has an interest in them, it's just a business decision. Then Hollywood is going to be more inclined to listen. Mine were either obscure characters from mythology or they were original characters, and that's why they were considered to be risks. And when I was getting that note over and over again, my natural inclination was to move more towards fiction writing because I didn't have to get a big budget and I could travel anywhere in my fiction and it doesn't affect the budget. And I was heartbroken to learn that there were also gatekeepers like this in the young adult world. I was included on accident. I was included on some email threads back and forth between agents at a publishing agency where they didn't mean for me to see the reply, but they were talking about how, you know, wow, she's writing a story about this girl and this girl's with pirates and we don't know how well that's going to sell. Maybe we can leverage her connections in the industry and get so-and-so because I heard she knows so-and-so. Maybe they'll write something for it. I don't know. It was just, it gave me a glimpse behind the curtain that was like, I know how that's how the business works, but that's so Hollywood, and that's kind of what I was trying to pull away from. So my camera's flashing at me. I don't know why it's flashing, but hopefully it's not about to blow up. We'll find out. It's doing like it's counting up, so I don't know why it's having an issue. But we'll find out. So that you know, obviously I'm an independent author now. I've self-published, but that was kind of my first glimpse into what's going on behind the scenes in some of the publishing world. Not everyone's like that, and there are definitely smaller presses, etc., that are not going to look at a list of risks and see having a female lead as a risk in a young adult novel. And this information that I'm giving you is almost 10 years old, because that's when I was actively pitching that particular story to agents. Yeah, I am old. But, so that was kind of my own personal journey in terms of where do I want to focus and where was I finding how was I finding my strengths and weaknesses as a storyteller? What venues? So Stargate definitely helped me hone my screenwriting skills. And when I was a late teen, I saw Lord of the Rings. People had been recommending it to me for a long time, telling me to read the books. This is sacrilegious, but I'm actually happy that I saw the films before I read the books because Tolkien's writing is a style that would just not have engaged me at that point in my life. I don't know if it would necessarily engage me now if I came to it cold. I guess I'm an impatient reader. So I think I just lost like a bunch of geek points for that, but it is what it is, and I'm just telling the truth. My truth. So when I saw those films, the first time I saw it, it actually felt like too much for me. I felt like there was a lot I wasn't getting because I hadn't read the books, that the audience was way more into it than I was. It's during finals in high school and I was just tired. It wasn't until a year later that I saw it on TV and had like, you know, the ability to kind of absorb it that I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. I've talked before in my vlogs about fan fiction. You guys know that I was writing fan fiction since I was a teenager until I think I was still working on one a few years ago. But that was another way that fandom was providing me a vehicle to hone my craft, was through fan fiction. And Lord of the Rings was no exception. I delved into Lord of the Rings fan fiction. And I always wanted to be, you know, that felt like my fandom home. The people who were into Lord of the Rings were into a lot of the same things that I was into. They were into language, history, obviously reading. It's a world with so much depth to it that I was craving in my escapism. So that was a really good fit for me, just my personality as a nerd. And come on, there's wide open spaces, there's beautiful landscapes, there's horses, and there's no fences. The horsewoman in me was just, I was enraptured. So I could go on for probably an hour just on why I like The Lord of the Rings and why those films spoke to me so much, but I won't. If you want to see that as a separate video, you could say it in the comments, but I'm gonna spare you that for the moment. So I found kind of my spiritual nerd fandom home. So you can see I'm wearing an Evanstar shirt in Middle Earth. And just like Stargate, I did not realize, I had no concept of where that was going to take me professionally or how it could aid me professionally. So just following my nerdy dreams, in 2012, my sister and I found ourselves in a position where, this is such a kooky story, I don't know if I should tell the whole thing. To summarize, theonering.net, which is the premier fan site for Lord of the Rings and J.R.R. Tolkien, needed volunteers, at least that's what we were told, needed volunteers to help at San Diego Comic-Con. San Diego Comic-Con, for the people who don't know, is the mother of all conventions. It is like 150 to 200,000 nerds taking over downtown San Diego. You guys who watch this vlog consistently are familiar with it because I just covered it from this summer when I was there. And it was, before it even got so monstrous, it was the place where you could see Lord of the Rings cast members and Peter Jackson, and so my best friend and I always had this goal of trying to get down there, and we never could afford it. But all of a sudden there was this opportunity that if me and my sister could fly down there, they would find, you know, we would split a hotel room with a big group of people to make it cheaper, and that means sleeping on the floor, but whatever. That's what I've done every single con at San Diego Comic-Con. And a few others. You sleep where you can sleep, and if it makes it more affordable, then it's fine. You're not there to hang out in a hotel, you're there to go to the convention. So it was the opportunity of a lifetime, and that was how we started meeting people who were staff on theonering.net. Theonering.net is all volunteers, and it is a very unique fan site because from the beginning it has had a wonderful relationship with the production. Most fan sites are just kind of watching from the sides, but this one actually will have people involved in the production of The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, whatever's going on, there's a back and forth. Peter Jackson and his crew, I love this about them, have always understood the importance of fans. They have always understood that, because they're fans themselves, that this is a community. This isn't, we are some elite beings who are creating this product for you to consume, and it's your duty to consume it as fans. That's the way I feel when a lot of studios try to peddle this stuff to us. It might be material we love, but then they make these dramatic changes that we don't agree with. They make these dramatic changes that are not in keeping with the spirit of the original work. I won't go into the tangent of whether or not that happened in The Hobbit, but suffice it to say, Peter Jackson's, I'm calling it Peter Jackson's group because that's the easiest way to explain it to a random person, but that includes his production companies and that includes What a Workshop. They love fans, they honor fans, they know that they are there because of fans, for fans, and by fans, and theonering.net is the same. So we were able to become friends with staff members. That's when because Kelly is very similar to one of the dwarven names in The Hobbit, Keely, people started calling me Keely just out of nowhere. And then my sister, because she's my sibling, started being called Feely by extension because that's the two brothers in The Hobbit, Keely and Feely. So now we're two sisters, Keely and Feely. I had such a blast. No surprise that Comic-Con, The One Ring was such an exciting organization to be a part of. We got to help sell t-shirts, we got to meet at a workshop, we got to meet Sir Richard Taylor, who we'd seen on the behind the scenes of the Lord of the Rings movies, and you know, it was just literally a magical experience and a dream come true. And we wanted to give back. So when I came home, I thought, what can I do to contribute to this website? And I naturally thought of one thing I haven't covered yet, which is a blog. I used to keep a blog fairly regularly back in my Stargate Atlantis days, and it was just talking about much more personal stuff than I share now on social media. And it was, you know, about like funny stuff my cat did, or a place I went with my friends, and I'd upload pictures and videos and clips. While we were at this convention at San Diego Comic-Con, we were meeting so many people, and we had stars in our eyes. We ended up at this party on a rooftop in downtown San Diego, and my sister and I are wandering around going, and everyone's like, this is impressive to you? And we're like, yeah, look how big these buildings are, and we're on a rooftop. And I mean, it's only like 4 or 5 stories up, but still, to us, that was, you know, it was just dazzling. And they thought, where are you from that this has an impact on you? I said, well, we're from rural Northern California. You know, we've got a sheep at home. We've eaten eggs from our chickens. You know, my siblings, my sister's got a Grand Champion doe goat. You know, we would raise livestock for the county fair. We're living a lifestyle that it became more and more clear to me is very rare, especially in that industry. So some of the things that drew us to Lord of the Rings, like the connection to the land, the way the hobbits live and other races live, were not the same things that drew other people to the Lord of the Rings. Some people just like the battles, other people like the evil, you know, you just never know. And so I thought, well, that's kind of a unique angle. What if I keep doing my blogging thing, but I'm bringing up how to incorporate Middle-earth into your daily life by doing these activities that you can do at home, like I'm doing anyway, like washing lamb's wool and etc. And then I was like, yeah, then I could include little video clips. And then all of a sudden I was like, duh, they should just be videos. That's all it should be, is videos. So that's what birthed our web series, Happy Hobbit. And if you only know me as an author, and you only know me through these vlogs, and you're curious, I encourage you to check it out. Whether you're into Lord of the Rings or Middle-earth or not, you might find a video that can teach you something, or that you find is fun. Because we are up to 80-something, 85 videos, I think, 85 episodes. And it has just been a blast. That is how we became staff members on theonering.net. And that is kind of where all my disparate skill sets converged. So I had my video editing and my filmmaking and being on camera. Though if you watch our early episodes like chickens, I'm like, welcome to Happy Hobbit. Hobbits, they like chickens. This is a chicken. They like the eggs of the chicken. So it's funny to us to go back and watch and see like how stiff we were on camera versus... maybe you can see that in my early vlogs. I'd have to go back and look. Maybe I was comfortable enough by then talking to this lens that looks like the Eye of Sauron and pretending that I'm speaking to people. I don't know. But so there was a learning curve there, but it was still, I wasn't starting from nothing, you know, because I had so much experience just making my own videos. So there was that. There was the writing aspect, because our first few episodes were actually kind of scripted. That's probably why they were so stiff, because we thought, we've got to be so serious about this. We've got to hit these points, man. So I'd write bullet points, and I'd be like, we got to cover these things about how you sanitize acorns, and how you pick berries. And it also incorporated my love of the fandom and the world. So we were plugging along, making these episodes, sharing them with the One Ring and our greater community, and one morning I woke up and we had 300 subscribers on YouTube, and I was very excited. It was either 300 subscribers on YouTube or likes on Facebook, I can't remember. I think it was subscribers, and I was about to do a Facebook post about it, but then the trailer for the second Hobbit film, The Desolation of Smaug, came out. And we were asked as staff members to submit our reactions for one big article about what does the OneRing.net think about this. Because people like to read our thoughts and then respond with theirs, and you know, that's fandom. I didn't have time. I had already made plans that day. I was going to the beach with my friends. So my sister, who's a genius, says, we don't have time to watch it and write stuff. We're psyched about this. We do a web show. Let's just film it. Let's just film it and then put that up there and on our channel, and that'll be our reaction, and then the One Ring can use it for their article, etc. So that's what we did. And if you don't know this story, it's a pretty crazy one. I went off, was having ice cream with my friends, sitting on the beach. You know, like, we were young and free back then. None of us had kids. I still don't have kids, but one of my friends has reproduced. She's got 2 beautiful children between now and then. And the world is a strange place, and the internet is even stranger. Came home that night after a lovely day, and we were watching TV or something, and I get a text. I didn't even have a smartphone at the time. I get a text from one of my friends, and he just says, "Your video is famous." And I'm just like, he must have seen it on my Facebook page or something. He's laughing at me because we freaked out over this freaking trailer, man. We were so excited we were losing our minds. And that was embarrassing to me, based on what happened next. Oh my god!
Do not think I won't kill you.
Oh my god! So I'm just like, hey, whatever. You know, this is a friend that I've known since I was 2. And then I turn on my computer, as I was in the habit of doing before bed, because again, I didn't have a smartphone until the end of 2015. And I have a message from a friend in Ireland saying, "Peter Jackson shared your video." And I was like, what? And lo and behold, someone in Peter Jackson's team had seen this video of us freaking out over the trailer and shared it on his Facebook page, which, as you can understand, made it go viral. So all of a sudden, me and my sister, I didn't even brush my hair yet, like when I filmed this video. I brushed my hair for you today, and I even put in like a hair thing. What is this? A headband? And I put on makeup. But like, that's because I'm trying to be professional here. There, I was just like a nerd, you know, being like my nerd self. And I was lucky I was freaking wearing a bra. And the only reason I was wearing a bra was because some guy came by to check out our property for something, and he was kind of good looking. And so my sister and I, we were both single at the time, we're like, oh my god, hurry. It was early in the morning. We're like, get dressed. And I'm like, yeah, getting dressed. That means putting on a bra. Because, you know, half the time, I don't have big boobs. I'm just at home. I'm not going to bother with that shit. But, you know, so again, you know, I like to think I would have put on a bra before we filmed this video. But if it was from here up, maybe I wouldn't have. I filmed vlog episodes before without any pants on. I'm not going to tell you which ones, but there have been some where I've just been sitting here in my underwear. And you guys didn't know. But what you don't know can't hurt you. Anyway, working from home, it's great. You should try it if you can. You might not be able to support yourself financially, but it's still fun. So us at our most fangirly, our most kind of embarrassingly passionate, was suddenly given this loudspeaker to the world. And it was scary at first, I'm not gonna lie. Because the comments were 50-50 based on, oh my god, I love them, that's me, I can so relate, they're awesome, and look at these. Please, use your imagination, fill in every slur that you can think of that is misogynistic. Because just being female and online, that's what you get. Look at these whores, bitches, worse. Let's make fun of them. So the crime is being a nerd and being female, but I won't get into that right now. So that's where it was scary, because I was also coincidentally just about to publish Darkling. I think I'd already uploaded the manuscript, everything was set to go on Amazon, and I thought, oh my god, I'm a laughingstock. I'm a laughingstock, and no one's gonna take me or my writing seriously. Everyone's gonna say, you're the girl from that video, and make fun of me, and it's gonna be awful. So that was a scary time. Luckily, a few hours later, Peter Jackson put up another video. Thank you, PJ. And he had filmed his Elven cast, Orlando Bloom, Evangeline Lilly, and Lee Pace, who are Legolas, Tauriel, and Thranduil, watching our video and then laughing over it. When he did that, that validated us. That said, no, I wasn't sharing this like, haha, look at these people who are freaking out over my upcoming movie, which he wouldn't do anyway. It was, look at that fan enthusiasm and look what that does for the people behind the scenes who don't always get to directly interact with fans, who don't always get to see what the behavior is like, what the reaction is to something that they have put so much work into. And that was just an absolute joy. And it was like 2 a.m. at that. Sorry about that, guys. This new camera I'm using, after like 15 minutes it automatically shuts off because I think it doesn't want to overheat. But where I was in my store, yes, mind was blown by this. If you haven't seen it and you want to laugh, I recommend checking it out. It was nicknamed Hobbitception because it's like the movie Inception, like a dream within a dream within a dream, because there was the trailer, then we reacted to the trailer, then the cast reacted to us reacting to the trailer, then we reacted, this finger, we reacted to the cast reacting to us reacting to the trailer. So that's why it's called Hobbitception. So if you go on YouTube or even just Google and type in Hobbitception, that will probably come up. That night we went to bed. I woke up the next morning. I had 200 media inquiries in my inbox. We were on BuzzFeed. We were in the Wall Street Journal. We didn't realize at the time that making reaction videos was a thing. It was just something we'd done for expediency's sake and because it was convenient. But it was really amusing to learn about this stuff through reading articles written about us where they said, whoa, they clearly are piggybacking off of so-and-so and so-and-so and trying to copy such and such. I'm like, I have no freaking clue who any of these people are. So be careful with the media, guys. Be careful where you place your trust, because you from my own personal experience, any personal experience I've had directly with the media, they present their own angle. But, you know, that's human nature. Anytime I gave an interview for a school newspaper or anything, afterwards I'd be like, why'd I say that? That was so weird. Guaranteed that's the part they used. And, you know, whatever. That's just life. So that blew up Happy Hobbit. We got a lot of subscribers from that. We've got a lot more attention on Facebook, media attention, and it put us in front of the production. Because it wasn't just the elves who watched it, the entire cast of The Hobbit, at least everyone that we've met, recognized us from the video. So they were passing it around, and I like to think that it was a little energy boost. You know, you're doing this day in, day out, it's exhausting. You just don't feel the energy. And I've had people tell me who were working on the films as part of the crew that they would watch it as, remember why I'm doing this. Remember how excited these fans are and how much they're going to value my hard work. So it feels really good to know that we gave back to the production in that way. Tangentially to that, or not tangentially, but parallel to that, yes, parallel to that is what I meant. Parallel to that, I was developing, or an opportunity was developing with What a Workshop to submit some of my writing. And again, this connection only happened because of me following my nerdy passion and going to Comic-Con, having that amazing opportunity, and just, you know, being my nerdy self. So something was brewing that was a job opportunity, which I never, ever in my wildest dreams expected. You know how the universe kind of lines things up for good or ill? This was an instance where things seemed to be, the energy was reaching a crescendo in a positive way for me. So we had the video go viral, and I all of a sudden had my first real professional job opportunity as a writer. And it was in part working with What a Workshop and in part working with another company called Magic Leap. So that was fantastic. And the reason I differentiate the two is a lot of people have the misconception that our video went viral and somehow I got a job. I don't know how that leads to a job, but I just want to make that clear that I'm not saying just be a nerd and make videos and hope that one will go viral and then Hollywood will come to you. I'm not saying that. I just want to make that clear. But what I am saying is follow your passion, follow your dreams, look for opportunity all around you because it is all around you. And just be open. Just be open to the experience and enjoy the journey because you never know what's going to happen. And that's true for all of life. So I had this wonderful experience with my, my first true contract job. We went on making Happy Hobbit. That led us to being at the two premieres of the second Hobbit and the third Hobbit film in Hollywood. We were there as press representing the OneRing.net So that's me being a nerd, dressed up all nice though, me and my sister. And it also led to the book that you all know about now called Middle-earth: From Script to Screen, Building the World of the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. Might be Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, I always mess up that part. And that opportunity came along because of me specifically having my nerd knowledge of Tolkien, being a writer who had worked with the company before, and in part because of my unique position as someone who straddled both the professional realm and the fan realm. That opportunity would not have been offered to me if I wasn't a fan. For this book, Harper Design specifically wanted to make sure that the point of view of both people who were involved in the production, which would be Daniel Falconer, my co-author, and the fan point of view. They wanted to make sure that both were in cohesion and that they were making a book that would please, a casual, someone who's looking at it casually, and someone who would be more like me and be more into it and want to make sure that they're not rehashing old information, and that it's fresh and that it's exciting and that it's deep. And yet somehow still surface enough that it can be essentially a coffee table book. So that was my task. And it was so much fun. I got to live in New Zealand for 2 months and work at a workshop. I got to see Legolas's bow on the wall. Again, it was the perfect convergence of all these disparate parts of my life that I couldn't see them having to do with each other, coming together and making something beautiful and giving me a tremendous opportunity. Now, even with that said, this is where it gets kind of ugly in my psyche. There was still a mental divide for me. Happy Hobbit, The One Ring, all of that is nerd stuff. That's not professional poised K.M. Rice. K.M. Rice is separate from the girl screaming in the fan trailer. You see now where I've had this war in my consciousness. Because where am I uploading this video right now? I'm uploading it to K.M. Rice. I think that was a smart decision. I shouldn't start uploading author vlogs to Happy Hobbit. That's not the content that our viewers are expecting or even wanting. So it having a separate home makes perfect sense to me. But this divergence of worlds that happened in my head is something that I'm going to talk to you now as if I've made peace with it, but that's not going to be true. I think it's going to be an ongoing thing. And I hope that those of you who have been in similar positions, nobody else is going to have my exact story, but there's going to be a lot of you out there, because it's increasingly happening more and more, that you've straddled this bridge of fan and professional, and that's either being a fan of a content and then being brought on board, or that is, yeah, I'm a fan, I hardcore geek out, but then I go to my office and I'm an accountant and people from work know that I'm dressing up as a princess at a con, but I'm serious at work. You know, this whole thing with, because of social media, so much of our lives is shared that we could have kept secret if we wanted to, and I don't know if we need to keep this stuff secret. But yeah, so I'm creating this video and telling you kind of my journey, because it may reflect yours or it may help you, and I'm very interested in hearing how you've coped and how you've dealt with it and what it's done for you. And maybe I'm overthinking this, but so while I was working in New Zealand, I'm working with amazing artists, and a lot of those artists, you know, they're working on these film projects, but they also have their own creative passions and their own, you know, their own stuff that they're pursuing. And it became clear to me that you need to be personally involved with your work. When I was young and I thought that I wanted to be an author, I didn't even know if there'd be a picture of me on the back of the book, and I thought I could live out in the woods and my books would just sell themselves and nobody would necessarily know who I was and I could be anonymous. And I also loved that about fandom. I loved being able to write my fan fiction anonymously. I loved being able to just be on forums and stuff and be like, you know, I've talked about my Star Wars days, arguing that Obi-Wan and Amidala should be in love. You know, I could do that without anyone being like, did you see that the girl who wrote this Middle-earth book is over there arguing over that, you know, like someone took her seriously? So that's kind of haunted me. And having, if you could imagine one of your most unabashed, passionate, geeky, and in some ways embarrassing moments being broadcast to the whole world, there's a power in that when that video went viral, because it's like, it's not a secret, I own it. But there's also, as a professional, it made me feel like I always had to live it down and prove that I'm not like that. I think in particular because I was working with the production. So there were times that I would go to meetings or whatever, and I would feel like everyone else in this room is just being treated as, you know, a young professional in their field, and everyone else is looking at me going, ha, it's that crazy Lord of the Rings fan, Hobbit fan chick. Oh, but that's right, that's not why she's here. You know, so I whether that was happening or not, that was kind of what was in my head and what I felt like I was trying to fight against. So that set me up for issues, trying to fight against this intense part of my identity that in part led me to the opportunity that I was in. But I felt like to be a professional, you know, I have to, obviously I'm not going to go into a meeting with someone like Peter Jackson and start freaking out and being a fangirl and be like, that's, I wouldn't do that. The only reason that was happening in that video, you know, if you take it in context, we're alone in my bedroom. At some point we forgot the camera was there and we're just letting it go and we're feeding off of each other. Me and my sister are feeding off of each other with our excitement. And it's a beautiful thing. Like, it's hilarious. I love it. But I didn't want people to have okay, this is what I'm trying to get at. Once something like that happens, you have no control. You lose all control of your image. And here I was trying to craft this author image, and then there's this Happy Hobbit image, and then it exploded. And what image are people getting? A screaming fangirl. So I felt like that video was walking before me everywhere I was going in life, and that people were seeing that version of me before they even got to know any other version of me. And that version of me is so, you know, maybe this is sad, but she's not around all the time. I don't even see her every day. Maybe I should try to work on like having her come out and hang out more, because I think life could be a lot more fun with her. But she's just not. So I felt like I was trying to, I want to say live it down, but it wasn't like an embarrassing or a negative thing. It was just, I didn't like people having that impression of me before I even had an opportunity to speak. And it was an impression. I am absolutely shocked. We would be at San Diego Comic-Con subsequent years and people would recognize us as we walked by and ask for pictures. I could never do that. I could never watch a video on YouTube and then recognize the people later. So I'm impressed with you guys. So that created this conflict in me of who am I as a creator? And due to various circumstances, my sister and her boyfriend are facing tremendous health issues. Now another close family member is facing tremendous health issues. We just kind of had to, and the movies were out, they were done, everything was kind of winding down a little bit. We stopped making Happy Hobbit as often as we used to the point that like we were only putting out a few episodes a year. We're trying to work hard to change that now. We have found some workarounds for my sister's health issues so that she can help me and it's not just all on me. I felt like I needed to purely focus on my author side and let that other stuff fall to the wayside, because how is it serving me? Well, that brings me to today. We are trying to revitalize our web show and do episodes more consistently. And I want to do that in tandem with my author self, because my most loyal, to date, my most loyal readers, most of them, the majority of them, have come from Happy Hobbit. You guys have gotten to know me through those videos. That's probably the only reason you ever picked up anything I wrote, and that's the reason you're still with me. My books have been out long enough now that that readership is growing, and these videos are bringing in new readers, and new, I don't want to call you fans, but new wildlings, new people to join our community, and that's amazing and very fulfilling for me. And of course that was my goal for all along, is you want to have as broad of a reach as possible. But there was still this war in my mind between Keely and Happy Hobbit and K.M. Rice, my author self, and then there's this weird freaking person in the middle who's Kelly. And she's not either of those people. But she is the place where both those rivers converge. Am I a delta? Am I like a delta leading out to the sea? And the sea is you guys, like the universe? I don't know. So I am still in the midst of this journey. But I'm at a place now where I see that it is absolutely fruitless to fight against anything, that I should welcome all success, no matter what form it takes, that I should not try to, you know, I hope I haven't ever really gotten so lost that I tried to downplay my geekiness, but there's no reason that these things can't cross over, and there's no reason for me to act like just to be a professional I don't have this other side, which is making videos teaching you how to brew hard apple cider like a hobbit, you know, because everything has its place, and these are all aspects of, like I said, that weirdo in the middle. And that weirdo in the middle, I don't know where I'm going with this. I want to say she gets a say too, but that weirdo in the middle is, maybe this is like a counseling session, maybe that weirdo in the middle is who's getting lost in all this. And that's why I feel like these two sides are sometimes at war. And it's also just a question of where are you going to invest your energy. So we made a few minor tweaks that made it feel like Happy Hobbit was once again ours and in our control. One of that is now we collect our earnings. Beforehand it was all going to the onering.net, which we were happy to do at the time. The website was in debt, but it's not anymore. And we could really use the money because, like I said, my sister's facing all these health issues. She can't work. So that has... We're talking like $6 a month here, but still that's $6 we wouldn't have if we didn't. It's just more of a psychological shift of we own this. Not own it, but we, I'm not trying to speak in legal terms, but I'm saying this is our creation and we still love it. And now that we are finding ways to still make it work, getting around these health issues, then let's invest in what we love, because that's ultimately what Happy Hobbit has become. It's become a place where people feel safe. It is a place where we have almost no trolls. It is a place where, because they get turned to stone by the sunlight, Mr. Bilbo. And it is a place of escapism for so many people. I can't tell you how many people have written to us and said, when I'm down, when I'm feeling alone, or even just when I'm, you know, want a little bit of cheer added to my life, I watch your show. And to know that you're spreading that in the world, who cares if you're not getting rich? That's... to give that gift to people is amazing. And we've been reminded that we get that out of making the episodes. And there was this ugly time where it kind of started to become a chore. And it was something that we felt we were being demanded to do to not necessarily earn money for other people, but it was just, there was a pressure on us where it wasn't coming from the same place. And that's why we kind of stopped or slowed down so much. But we are taking, you know, our psychological ownership of it again, our creative ownership again, and ownership of it again. And it's becoming something that is a passion for us and is fun for us. And so there's no reason why that and K.M. Rice can't coexist in perfect harmony. So that is my story of being a fan and kind of a professional fan, and being a professional in a completely separate capacity where these worlds are meeting and intersecting and colliding, because they are nonstop meeting, intersecting, and colliding. And be careful when you are in a similar situation to try to avoid the mental blocks that I've developed, or have been at risk of developing, you know, whatever. And work with the gifts that you have and what life has brought to you, because they're usually going to be good things, and if they're negative things, there's always a way to turn them into good things. Okay, guys, in an effort to embrace my nerdy self, here is another piece of nerddom. My sister bought me these the other day at Marshall's. Peppa Pig shortbread. I can't tell you if they're good or not, but because I haven't eaten them yet, I'm waiting until I can watch Peppa Pig and eat them. But there you go. So from me and my Peppa Pig shortbread, I wish you all a very fond farewell. See you next time, wildlings. And always, I have to do my YouTube spiel. As always, I don't upload on a regular basis. If you want to be notified, please subscribe, because then you'll get an email when I upload a new video. And if you're enjoying this vlog, you can support it with $1 a month at my Patreon. And I'll put the links below, and I'll put the links to Happy Hobbit below, so that you can check that stuff out as well. And just have fun, okay? So keep following your dreams. Keep following your passion. It is like that Tolkien quote, it's a very dangerous business going out your front door. If you don't keep your feet, there's no telling where you'll be swept off to. And try your best to stay open and let life take you on a journey, because that is what living means. Alright, I wish you guys a very fond farewell.